No updates.
Nothing went out. Nothing came in. Guys, I was thinking today we could do something different. I'm thinking today we could just talk about last night's basketball game, or we can talk about tomorrow's game if y'all want to, or we can just change the whole subject. What do you think? No, I'm just joking, of course. Anyway, it'll come up. All right, so just to let you know where we are. Bank people stayed at the bank last night till 11 o'clock, those that were there. They were back this morning. Now, they were mad about it yesterday, and it's getting worse. And maybe that's why Texas just isn't doing it, because they're not putting their employees through this hell that the rest of them are going through. But some locations were told to expect something today. That's what they were told. They were told that yesterday, too. So they're getting highly upset about hearing this every day, or about it looks good for today. We should see it. Now, I understand why they told them that, because they said they were going to pay the salaries today. Because there's things out there saying that the reform papers are done, the white papers are done. They still got to be voted on that, and things were moving forward. But we don't know that happened. So the banks are there. Some people can see the rates, some can't. Banks are still calling some people in, trying to give them SKRs that we know of, and lowballing them. Just so you know, they're absolutely lowballing. Okay, we heard that there was a rate out there of $15 for the dinar that some people saw. So we got confirmation of those rates from the bank. I don't know if they're going to stay. We got confirmation of those rates from our committee member, and as Ray did put out for you guys, even though he said he didn't put anything out, but you guys know that they tried to negotiate that opening rate down, but he said it went away. But they were trying to change it from $15. And we did have somebody who was offered $14 yesterday, right? $14, not the 15. Anyway, it's right there. Contract rates are still there.
Blog Talk.
To see that. Now, you from $15. And we did have somebody who was offered $14 yesterday, right? $14, not the 15. Anyway, it's right there. Contract rates are still there. Iraq is supposed to start paying people today. They haven't started yet, but I know. It's nothing on TV. Yesterday it was. Saying salaries are going to start today, and they still could. It's going through the bank. So we're just waiting. We don't even know what we're waiting for. Here's what I can tell you. Well, we're actually waiting probably for the white paper to be voted on. But we must know. I can tell you this is what I have confidence in, guys, so you'll know. I read everything that's going on. Listen to all our content, and I know that the demonstrator said you have to the 25th of this month. So that's what I got to go with. Between now and the 25th, I feel something's going to happen or it's not going to happen. If they start like they did last year, it will end up like it did last year. And I don't think anybody wants to see that. Now, you guys had asked me about Trump and the hospital and does it make a difference? And I said no, because I don't think it makes a difference to me at all. Whether he's here, not here. I mean, when it goes, it goes. But I was, in fact, relayed from some people in Washington that they thought that's why it didn't go through last weekend. Nobody wanted to do it while he was in the hospital. Nobody wanted to do it. Problem was, just as I told you guys last week, everybody was looking at the U.S. and they're concerned about what's going on in the U.S. Well, this weekend, they was just concerned about what's going on with him and what will the U.S. look like next week in 2 weeks if something went wrong. So that is what we were told was a concern here with putting it through on Saturday like it was supposed to. So a lot of information out there, a lot of different opinions of things coming from different places. It makes sense, I'll say, okay, they want to make sure they don't do the RV Saturday, something happens to him Monday, Tuesday, and, they have no direction for the U.S. But we know that already due to whatever else is going on here that they were concerned with. Could be that they were what we thought waiting for Tuesday, banking day. It could be exactly why, and you guys have to think about it. I'm going to give y'all some confidence or some reason. I know Trump's thing is he wanted to get out of the hospital. He wanted to go back because, as we heard, the scare was making him look weak. Making him look weak, but also making, the country look weak as leadership is sicker and that. And that happens to every country, so no big deal. But he saw what happened to the market, other things that right now nobody wants to see the market going back down, set down, and it affected all that. So it could be reasons, and good reasons, why he's trying to put on, a show of strength, if he in fact even has the virus. But if he does, those are good reasons for it, what they needed. And now people feel more confident. The market's back up. The price of oil went back up, which again is a perfect time to do this. While it's back up, and it went up 5%. Remember, instead of what it went down 2%. So it's a good day. There's no negative information. That's what we need to be thankful. No negatives anywhere. On TV, everywhere they're saying they have an agreement with the 140, which we know, but they're waiting for the reforms. All the statements on TV says waiting for the reforms. Reforms are complete. The only thing the reforms haven't done yet has been voted on. Now, everything's in the reform papers. We're being told that. Everything. The jobs, the money, education, everything has been removed from the budget and placed in the reform papers or the white papers. So it's that simple. Is what everybody's waiting on. Parliament doesn't come back until the 10th, though. What's today? I don't even know what today is.
7th.
Oh, the 7th. Okay. So they're supposed to come back on the 10th. Oh, that's Saturday. It's another weekend day. So we'll see as soon as they come back, get voted on, and could this take off then. Now, why? I'm just showing you guys what you mean. Why the banks were told look for it today? The only thing I can think of is because they were supposed to start paying the salaries today, and they did want to pay them at the new rate. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. because they haven't paid them as of yet that I know of. Okay. All right, Ray. Let's do what you do.
All right, let's see. E-Man 007. Is there still a cap on contract rates? If so, what is the cap for each? Can you clarify if the cap is on the foreign currency before exchange or on the U.S. currency after exchange? Right? We'll answer them backwards. The cap is on the foreign currency before exchange. What is the cap for each? The last information we received for the dinar was 20 million. For the dong was 50 million. Is there still a cap on contract rates? As far as we know, yes. That was an easy one. Blue Milton says, number 1, are redemption centers recommended because we would get the earliest opportunities to do the exchange, or does it matter since banking staff are being trained now in our actual banks?
Well, the 800 number is supposed to direct you to redemption centers. Now, redemption centers or exchange locations, some of them are going to be actual banks. So that's why those people are there being trained. So their location is going to be an exchange location. Now, if you can get in a bank, you have a personal contact, he says he's going to take care of you, then go do that. You don't have to wait in line. The 800 numbers are just there for a orderly process, okay? To try and remove some of the chaos of everybody getting in. If you have a guy saying, don't dial the 800 number, call me, then call him. That'll make it convenient for you. You trust and know the numbers. That's what I would do. All right?
Number 2 says, Blue Milton says, I know rates can change overnight, but how long do you think we'd have to do so after the RV?
Say it again?
I know rates can change overnight, but how long do you think we'd have to do so after the RV? I guess to do the exchange.
Yeah, I'm saying do what so? Well, the whole process was set up, let's say, for 10 days for us to go through, which is the internet people, to go through 10 days. And I suspect after that, they'll do away with it, and they'll start, well, depending on how many people go through. Because you guys got to remember there was also an agreement for a certain number of people to get the contract ready. So once that's achieved, then I'm sure they'll be done away with it. 800 numbers will probably go away, and they'll just use your banking resources.
Okay. And number 3 question says, I thought only earned income, sales, and gift monies were taxable, not our returns on this investment, right or wrong? Well, gift monies are not taxable. And our exchange, which is not an investment, is not supposed to be taxable either due to the treaties. So I hope that cleared that little part up. Let's go to Scout Dad. Says, when asking for the contract rate, can you give us language you would use if the banker says he doesn't know what that is? Yeah, bye. That's the language I use.
Oh, my God. So, I have very good information and knowledge here. Then you can say Ray ran 98. Told me you guys had a higher rate, contract rate. Don't say Tony, because you might get in trouble. Listen, it's all you can do is say this is the rate. Put it in the computer and let's see what comes back. I can't sit here and argue with a guy who tells me I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about it except for what Ray just said. Then you're not the guy I need to be talking to. So I need to schedule with somebody else. Because there are, in fact, contract rates. We have it from other bank sources. other people already received those rates. And if you don't know about them in the wrong place, get up and walk out. When you get up and walk out, you're going to say, wait a minute, let me make some calls and see what are you talking about. Well, there's a higher rate than this. It's called a contract rate. And we know it started at $28.50 for the dinar, and we'll give it to you what it is for the dong at the time. And sometimes you're going to have to do that. They don't know. They're bringing in new people now. They're still training. You may have to train them a little bit to get what you need done. And then say there are treasury rates. If they send you to a bank where you have $400,000, you're probably not going to get the same experience level as that guy who went to somebody to do $400 million. They're going to know a whole lot more than that guy exchanging your $400,000. So you may have to help that guy along the way. Okay? All right, what's next?
Sunstar. Wow, I haven't had Sunstar in a minute. Number one, in the last 60 days, have you received any updates on the NDA?
No.
Any news from the exchangers in Iraq?
Any news from the exchanges in Iraq? I don't think I was actually talking to exchanges bankers. The money is sitting there. The lords and arms are sitting there, and we're just waiting. Okay?
Okay. Dr. Pete says, short and sweet, is Texas where they need to be in order for this to happen?
Nope. No. Checked with them last night. They weren't. Checked with them this morning. They are not. Again, guys,
right.
I can tell you when they are, we can get excited, but I don't get depressed because they aren't. Because they could tell them to go there, as we know has happened before, and only give them 2 hours notice where everybody else has had a week notice of it sitting there for that long. And they'll send them in. Like one time, they would get ready to go home for the day. And they said, no, you're being diverted over the years. You can't go home. So I'm not concerned that it doesn't happen or that they're not sitting there twiddling their thumbs like everybody else. Because I know they can be real quick.
Okay. Blue Angeles. You still there?
Yep.
Okay. Blue Angeles says, Tony said on the last call that banks may put us on a payout plan because of the amounts. All the currency is digital, and I'm not understanding why the banks would have a problem with the amounts. Could you explain?
You know, I have always told you guys nothing but numbers on the screen. It's just digits. They can do it. I also know that each bank has a limit, according to the banking laws, how much money they can have. So I don't know if that's an issue with them or not. But I can tell you this. I am telling you exactly what I'm getting from the banks. Now, this is what we got. And I'm going to tell you exactly. We got that the RV supposedly was going through on Saturday. We did hear the $15 rate. It is not in the Gazette. I can promise you that, though. That was totally false information that people put out there. It is not in the Gazette. And ask Mr. Guru, who's telling you guys that it is, to show it to you, because you can look it up in the Gazette. We did hear there was an issue with the rate, and it came from the bank saying that it was 15, and our committee guys. There was an issue, argument, discussion. They wanted to lower it. It just faded away. At the same time, there were banking locations, not all of them, banking locations calling their people in, and they refused to come in on Saturday and Sunday. They said they're not doing it. They refused to come to work. And some of them have used all kinds of excuses now. COVID, I'm tired of it. It's causing problems with the family. It's this and that. And they said they were tired of playing the game. Well, the bank decided that two things. Oh, wait, let me tell you this. I forgot. First of all, when we were getting our phone calls over the weekend, a couple banks had planned on going on Sunday. Even though it went Saturday, banks had agreed not to start until Monday morning. And then some were going to jump the gun and go on Sunday, which I'm not going to name them, but anyway, which caused a whole domino effect. Now everybody's trying to get into the game because nobody wanted to be last or wanted them to get a day ahead of them, and caused a whole bunch of confusion within the banking system between Sunday and Monday. Then they determined that some locations people wouldn't come in, so they didn't have enough people to actually do the exchange. And they were training some new people, which could be settled. I mean, people could have just been using that for the weekend. They're just tired of getting called in and don't want to do it until it actually happens. So I can understand that. Then their thing was, and I'm actually giving you guys some information, things that happened inside some bank meetings. They were trying to figure out how to do these pays because somehow or another, some banks are amazed at how much currency some of you have. Everybody didn't plan on taking every one. The only bank that's supposed to take everybody is Wells Fargo. But I know people have already gone into banks, already made deals with them, and the banks have already told them, we're only going to take a certain amount of people and we're going to cut it off because they can't handle the load. They don't have the money. And we say they don't have the money is because they have to meet their Basel III requirements. And it says each bank can only have so much money, have to have so much in reserve and everything else. So they have their own rules and laws that they have to follow. And some of them are going to be limited to the number of people they can take in. Just is what it is. So to overcome that, what they were talking about was going back to structured payouts again. I don't know if this is going to happen or it's not. I'm just telling you conversations that were taking place over the weekend. Now, before, when they were going to do structured payouts, it was for the same reason. Nobody had the money. But our committee guy brought it to us because that's what they were talking about at that level. Now we're talking about structured payouts. It's just one bank that I know of that is talking about maybe having to do structured payouts because of the number of people and the amount of money that they're going to have. So I wouldn't be concerned with it, guys. I don't care if it's 100 million or 50 million or 10 million. I mean, those numbers, they won't do structured payouts for sure. But whatever it is, if you qualify for a structured payout, if they in fact do that, you get a whole lot of money. I mean, a whole lot of money for them to do that. Hopefully you weren't planning on spending it all tomorrow anyway, and you can use it to your benefit if you structure it right, which I would, which I've explained to you guys several times on exactly what I would do and what interest I would require to do that and still reap the benefit. Everybody wins. I would win anyway. Do numbers. It makes sense. All right. That's all I can tell you. Okay, Ray? Which probably was too much information, but anyway, good.
All right. Vito says, when we do our exchange, will we be able to add our children to our accounts? We ask this because we will be exchanging their currency and ours together so we can get the higher rates.
I think that's a banking question, guys. You add anybody to your account that you want. I guess as long as they're not in check systems or something. So, but think about this for a minute. So my kids have what? I just got to think of a number. 100,000 dinar, which is absolutely nothing. Do I want to include that in my exchange? No. My kids have 10 million dinar. Do I want to include that in my exchange? No. Now, I'm saying no, as I don't want it exchanged in my name. Do I still want to include it in my negotiations? Absolutely. Because it's still all part of me. It's still part of the structure of what I'm bringing, but I still want them to do their own exchanges. So I'm sitting at the table, this is what I'm bringing in. Just like I told you guys before, and some of you said, hey man, I got 5 friends waiting outside that door as a group. This is what we're doing. Because I actually want to do that with some people to make sure they get a good deal. No, this is part of my group. Not my individual exchange, but part of my group, and everybody agrees to these terms as long as you give them to us. So now I've done a couple of things. I've increased my amount, and at the same time, I've negotiated for me and 3 or 4 other people all at the same time, something they now don't have to do if they agree to that. And these are our terms, and now we go from there. And they're willing to live by the same terms and agreements that I did when they walk in that room behind me. You don't even have to think about it. There's the amount. This is what we agreed, 5 years, this interest rate, and, 50%, 60%, whatever it was, it goes for each individual, and it is what it is. It actually makes it smoother for everybody because I just made a cookie-cutter situation that the wealth manager can just run to. Would I put all their money under my name and say, this is it, we're going to do it? Absolutely not. Not even with my kids. They're going to do their own. They're going to do their own for 2 good reasons. They bought their own, and they should experience what it's like. And the only way they're going to be responsible with it is if they go through it. Because all it looked like is I gave it to them again. So they're definitely going to do their own thing. Okay, what's next?
California Sugar. Okay, we already talked about the Gazette deal. All right. RPA
California
Boulder.
Sugar?
Yeah, that was her name.
Okay,
the question was about rate being in the Gazette, but you addressed it.
Right.
RPA Boulder, having been in this for some time, having seen us get so close, then it fades off, etc., etc., etc. Do you ever get the idea that some of your sources are just pulling your chain? Gotta ask.
Okay. That's all right. No, I don't get that idea. And I'll tell you, not a lot of people that I talk to, guys, are people just like you and me. People that are there, that are working their job, that have families, that are trying to get the best out of this that they can. And they're giving us what they're being taught or trained or being told, because they don't get to make any decisions. They're just telling us this is what's going on. This is what's on the screen as a as a regional manager or as a vice president, this is what they told me to do. So somebody's telling them what to do, and this is what we're scheduled to do. It's not them just making up something. And remember, I never, ever, ever go with what one person told me. I don't. If somebody in New York is telling me something, I'm trying to get it from Wisconsin. I'm trying to get it from Chicago. I'm trying to get it from North Carolina. I'm trying to get it from Florida. I'm trying to match everybody up. Even in Texas, as we know, in Atlanta, I'm calling see if everybody's getting the same thing, then okay. So it's not one person telling me something, pulling my chain. If they're pulling anybody's chain, they're pulling all of ours, whoever's up there doing that. And that's okay, because nothing we can control. They intentionally lied to us before, yes. I don't know how long you've been here, but we've been through it for years. They had their reasons for doing it. And it was, to catch people, set things up just to see what would happen. But they had reasons. And a lot of times they did come back to us, especially when we had DC here and that, and sometimes apologized. And sometimes they asked me, would I just say this or would I just say that? And, sometimes it made sense. And sometimes I said, no, I'm not saying that because I wasn't going to say that. And I said, nope, I'm not going to say that. But that's how it is. So, no, I don't think anybody's just intentionally, let me just tell Tony this. They know exactly what I know, what Ray knows, what most people know is what we say and do affects lives. That's why I know it does. And that's why I just have to be straight up with you guys. Sometimes you don't want to hear it. A lot of times you do, but it does affect people's lives, and they realize that. Some people, I can say, flat out don't care. Because, we are the toothless crackheads anyway. They don't care. They got money and just getting richer. And other people, and that's how we got to be here. It wasn't them, but it was the people who worked for them who got tired and frustrated and decided to help us out. So that's still where we're getting our information from. Those same people who decided that we are the people. And it makes a difference what we're told. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, what's next?
All right, Flight First says, if we had to move to another state with less than 4 months, how is the process?
I have no idea, guys. I don't say that. You're supposed to exchange, we were told, where you lived at least half of the year, or the majority of the year at. So you'd have to ask that question when you call in.
All right, let's go talk live. 404 area code, you're on.
Hi, Tony, and hi, Ray. I again appreciate your helping to connect the dots here. In your opening remarks, you made the reference that some locations were being told to expect something today. Can you give us any indication on which coastline or middle of the country those locations might have been?
Not Texas.
Or might be?
All east. Oh, go ahead, Ray. Ray, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
I can tell you East Coast locations.
Okay. And have you had any further updates? Because that sounded like it was past tense that you got that some locations were told to expect something today. Have you had any update from them today as to it's still looking good, or is it quiet from them?
Well, unfortunately for me and you, we've been on this call since then.
but we have secondary lines that something might have come through or texting.
Oh, no.
So don't
No,
hide around
that's how fresh that information is. So it hasn't changed while we're talking.
Okay, just checking. I'd like to go back to this issue of the commentary about the publishing in the Gazette, even though you had a couple of questions on that. Given the time frame, was 7 hours difference East Coast time to what it is in Iraq? That still gives them evening hours of 9 to midnight. How likely are your sources saying that they might tend to try to squeeze something in, and there is an edition of the Gazette very, very late, which puts it, after the banking time frame closes this afternoon? Or am I having too much dinar rose-colored glasses at the moment?
Listen, here's the thing. It's Wednesday, so anything could happen. It has not happened. But what did happen is there are some gurus out there telling people it was already published in the Gazette, which it clearly is not. And that's what I went to verify. It clearly has not been published in the Gazette. Period. Not that it won't in the future, but right now it has not. Even though we did hear about the $15, and they wanted to come out at that, even that can change. And again, I don't know where they got theirs, but I got it from the bank. It's on the screen. We got it from our committee guys saying, yep, that's what happened on Saturday. But we still don't have it.
This, I was seeing a positive thing in here, because this seems to be one of the few times that we have seen the committee guys' info coming out and mimicking what you were getting from the bankers in terms of what was being seen on the screen. Is that a good read on that?
You mean one of the few times they were on the same page? Exactly.
On the same page?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay, doke. I just, again, sometimes I wonder if my glasses are a little bit too fogged or whatever. So, but whenever this happens, we know 10 days hence, that's when we will have our TNT Super Fantastic Pay It Forward project. And we appreciate it. May it be sooner than later. And again, thanks for your help.
Let me tell you something, though, just so you know, and you know that I know, and everybody else can know. In the beginning, you were very inquisitive, and you asked really, really tough questions, and they really made sense, and people really want to know, and they love you today. But in like the last 3-4 months, your dinar glasses has just turned to dinar eyeballs. Everything's dinar. But okay. I love you for it.
It's about all of these black SUVs that I keep seeing, targeting around, so one has to be very sensitive.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a
all right, we're almost there now.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 281 area code. You're on.
Hello, Tony. Hello, Ray. How you guys
Hi
doing?
there. Fantabulous, sir.
How are you?
To the nth degree.
I'm good.
And yourself?
Ray, I'm fine. I heard you talking about Texas. Y'all better leave Texas alone. They know why they're not there, because they don't want to be sitting up there like the rest of them, doing nothing. That's why. Now, I have my question.
Yeah, but the other ones sitting up there doing nothing are getting paid.
Well, we don't want, after a while, sometimes you just don't want money when foolishness is all involved. So let me start out with the last question that I was going to hold on. Okay, Mr. Tony, this question is for you. Because I was going to say this one for last, but I think I'm going to start out with this one. Now, all the persons or the person that's doing all the intentional lying, calling all the folks into the bank, getting their hopes up to work, and then don't nothing happen. What's going on with him or her or them? Why are they doing this? If they know the thing is not going to happen, they calling all these folks saying nothing happened because the bank folks are getting tired. Why do they keep doing this?
Okay. Well, again, before it was because they are still negotiating, and the best time to negotiate is right before it goes live, so it's going to keep going live so they can renegotiate. Or they're trying to catch somebody in doing something, or sometimes things are just out of your control. So let's look at Friday or last week. Everybody knew it was going over the weekend. Everybody was preparing. Everybody was getting their people there, except for Texas. But who knew Trump was going to go in the hospital Friday evening? Who knew he said he was going to have the virus? Who knew it? Just, because everybody was ready to go. That's what they said. But then that popped up and nobody would go. And now, as it even gets worse, because now it's up to 20 people in the White House circle who all had the virus. It's affecting all the leadership over here. You got to look at, is that a concern? Well, of course it's going to be a concern because it's going to affect more than just the banking system when it happens. It's more than just our country. So it's not always planned to make them think we're going to do it, but we're not going to do it. Sometimes things have gotten in the way. Last October when it was supposed to go, it was in there, it was sitting there ready to go. But who knew the people were going to take over? But once they started, everybody was, whoa, wait a minute, let's see how far this goes. Which dragged it on. And again, that's why I'm hoping that this thing gets done before the 25th, because we don't want to experience that all over. Here's the people who make the decisions. The CBI, the Prime Minister of Iraq, and the U.S. Treasury. That's where the decisions are going to be made at. Or they just say Donald Trump. Whatever you do. Everybody else has already agreed to it. Everybody else has said, whenever you're ready to go, we'll go. Nobody else has vetoed it not one time except for the United States of America. Mm-hmm. Iraq desperately wants it to go. Even right now, the reform paper and everything else was supposed to be an easier way to get it done than the budget, since the budget had to go backtrack. By doing the reform paper, it can count for right now, is why they did it, and allow them to do the 21 through 23 budget that they want to do. It could legally change everything. Still had to be voted on and put in, but it was an easier way to do it. Iraq is trying to get it done. If it's not getting done, it's not getting done over here once again.
Right. And that's my whole point. That was my question, more to the U.S. than versus Iraq. I feel it's the U.S. holding it up for whatever their reasoning is. Now, I know that do you know if the new small category notes have been shown or displayed to the citizens of Iraq? Because I had been hearing and seeing that they were supposed to be educated on what those notes look like and all of that, so they won't be blindsided and understand more about them. Do you know if that has been done for the citizens?
We know they've done that last year. They've done it twice already. I don't need it. They need to have another month of re-education of something that they already heard. We know that they are sitting at the banks, supposedly ready to go. And more important than any of that, we know that's why they put them on the electronic system, so they don't have to worry about it. I mean, there'll still be people who want paper money just like now, but it can absolutely go through.
Okay. Now, what I heard about the banks now, or some banks, not all, they're now in discussion or kind of it's scuttlebutt about if they should go back to a payment system on some of the large amounts that people may have as far as U.S. dollars after they exchange. Now, we only been doing this now for the last 100 years. It seems like 100 to me. and they're now wanting to go back to that, saying that they may not have enough money to pay a customer out at one time. Okay, so they know what these rates are looking like on the screens. They know people could possibly have a whole lot of dinar or dong or whatever their U.S. dollar exchange rate could be a good rate to give them a good amount of U.S. dollars. How is it that they don't have enough money? I thought they were loading the banks up with all of this money and stocking the banks. I know that was for cash that they wanted to walk out with, but wouldn't, because since this is going to be digital, why are they concerned about that?
Okay. So I'm going to explain this really, really slow for the people in Texas, because I spent the first 15 minutes of this call explaining that already. Okay?
You got most of it, but that last part just still, I'm like, that don't sound right.
Okay. I'm just messing. Look, guys, I'm trying to think of a good example that I can give you guys. And it's kind of like, this administration knew that COVID-19 was coming, okay? Everybody knew it was coming. And they even said okay, we got a plan, we can handle it. But they didn't know it was going to be like this. But they came up with a better plan, trust me, if they knew it was going to be like this. Because you could expect things, like that. This is the same way. They know for years, okay, we're going to do this exchange, we're going to have this money, these people are going to come in. But this is what we have to understand, the whole process. When we started this, it was only 2,000 people. Then it was 5,000. Then it was 100,000. Then this guy named Ray Rand got on and started running his mouth, and that's 100 million.
You say, really? You got to throw him under the bus. You just ran over him with the
You guys got to remember, though. No, in all seriousness, though, it wasn't that many people involved in this. I mean, it wasn't. So we got started, and this started growing and growing. And you remember with the Dom or the Zim, they had less than 2,000 people until we started talking about it. Now they had over 1 million people. Now, I think it's their fault because they took so long to do it. But in fact, the cat got out the bag. So now they're looking at, okay, all these people are coming into the banking system. We can throw digits on the screen because you can do that forever. We're never really going to have to account for the money. But what we do have to account for is the banking laws that we just set up. We do have to account for that one way or another. The reserves and change it unless the U.S. Treasury goes out there and changes it again. Unless the laws enable them to handle this. Now, they did all of this because of, and Dodd-Frank, because the banks were taking advantage of people by what they were doing. And they tried to change all that. So it's a complicated mess. And it may not even work out like that. But a couple years ago, when they wanted to do payouts for everybody, that was the reason. They had to spread it out. They were going to try to spread it out over 20, 30 years. So it wouldn't overtax the system. So this weekend, all they said was, we don't have the money. We don't even have the people to do this with now because of COVID-19. And people are scared to come in. They're talking about putting their family at risk. All the things we talked about months ago, years ago. Where they're going to be able to do this? And they're telling me they just started discussing it over the weekend because people wouldn't come in. Now, they wouldn't come in because some of them realized, Trump got the virus. Wait a minute, now it's real. It wasn't real, but now it's real. I mean, you can look at the numbers. They're saying 21% more people over 4 days now believe the virus is real, where they didn't believe it was real before. So there's a lot of things going into this. That's just one bank saying that's the issue that they were discussing on their national call.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, the longer they wait, the more things they can think of and all of this kind of stuff that could possibly problem in their eyes. But at the same time, you have to foresee the future. Isn't that what you do? You forecast. And you have to brainstorm. Or do they have any women in there in these meetings? Do you know?
Do you know if they had women in these meetings, we already be 20 years behind? All right, don't start. Don't start.
It sounds like there's no women in these meetings because we know how to plan. That's the problem right there. They're just unorganized men running around here trying to make all these decisions. Put some women in there. We'd have been got this done. How about that? Call us. We'll organize a team. All this foolishness.
Hey, Felicia. Bye.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good time.
754 area code. You're on.
Good morning, Tony, and good afternoon, Ray. And
good afternoon.
First, I want to say I totally agree with the previous caller, Bus Lady. If we women were in on it, this would have been done 5 years ago instead of us sitting here for 8 years, because the countries run by women don't have the problems we have. But to digress from that, and having stuck my 2 cents in that, my first question is, when Kazemi was here and had the discussions with Trump and all these agreements were made again, what is happening with that? Obviously, nothing is going forward since they have not revalued the currency so that contractors and employees can get paid with money that's worth anything. So where are those contracts at this point, and are contractors getting disgusted with the constant delays?
Okay, the contracts are there, but they won't be implemented until the RV happens. Because when he came over here, what he was getting was bottom line requirements that he needed for the U.S. to say this can go. Bottom line, we agree with this. Once I do this, and this, then we're good, yes. What happened as soon as he got back to Iraq? He started implementing all kind of changes. He's still doing it today. He changed all those ministers, changing the banking system. He shut down the borders. I mean, he did everything that he came over here and they checked off on the list. We need all of this done before we can do it. He's making it happen. He's absolutely getting those things done. They just don't happen in 24 hours. He hasn't even been back a month yet, and look what he has accomplished. I mean, it's great.
We have always been told that the final decision is with the CBI and with Kazemi, all right? And that it's not up to our government to make the decision. Yet it seems every time it gets pulled back, it's the administration, it's the Treasury that's doing it. So obviously we really do have a lot to say in this RV happening. It's not up to them. We're a huge part of it. So what's going to happen if, unfortunately, this administration changes next month? Are we going to be set back years when a new administration comes in that may not want us to have this RV in this country?
Okay, so there's 2 important things. First of all, as far as Iraq is considered, they want to look like, and we want them to look like, they're coming from a position of strength. So no time do we want to stand up and tell their citizens, we're in charge of your country and we're going to tell you when to do what you can do. It's always going to be rejected and presented as Iraq is making that decision. We know, because we're involved in the process, we're part of the process, we've been here for so long, that the U.S. can veto it at every time. The U.S. knows, once they let that go through, we can't lose all control over Iraq now that they have their money back. Now we don't, because of the UN sanctions, and I don't know how much longer that goes, but we'll still have that in case something happens. It goes crazy. But right now, we have the veto power on it until they do that. The other thing is, every administration has changed it so far. Every administration. So you're absolutely right. Why would the next one? Because everybody wants their piece of the pie. If it's not done, everybody wants their guys to get paid. Everybody wants it to go the way they want it to go. And they have that. And that's exactly why we think they're trying to get it done now. And they should be. Iraq should be trying to get it done so they don't have to go over there, hold it, wait, let us look at it for 90 days, see what you guys put together, do all this. Trump's trying to get it done because if he doesn't get it, he still wants to be the guy who made it happen. So I think he will be trying to get it done. And hopefully before the election, not afterwards. But even afterwards, I think he would still do it. Let's try and get this done before we leave. Because they're controlling where it goes at the present time. Who's getting paid, who's not, who's getting their profits out of it. You know, the whole crooked ass deal that's behind closed doors that everybody don't want to know about. Because trust me, there is one. So yeah, it makes a difference if it happens before or after.
So if you're saying that Trump wants to get it done, and he wants to get it done if just in case he is not going to get reelected, does he have no control over the U.S. trust to say we're putting this through, going, I want it done, and I want it done now?
Okay, it doesn't make any sense for you to take your car to the shop and they say, okay, I'm almost done, but I got to fix that back right tire before you go. And you say, no, I want to go now. Where? Go down the street and break down? Not even get out the driveway? I mean, tear up the rest of your car because of that? It's the same way. He wants it done. They still have to do what they have to do. And they haven't completed that yet. So why would I do it? Now, if they haven't done everything that we asked them to do, then let's let it go through. Are they trying to get it done? Yes. I take my car to the shop and got stuff to be done by 5. I get there at 5 and say, oh man, we still got this. Can you come back tomorrow? No difference. They're saying this is the date we want it done. Somebody didn't cooperate. We're not just doing things. We're fighting Maliki. We're fighting the Emirs. We're fighting Iran. We're fighting the militia. All while we're trying to get done what you want us to do. We set a date and a time, didn't make it, but we're closer than we were last week. So let's do it again. That's a live process that's going on. Not that the U.S. doesn't want it to happen now. We just want everything to happen and be secure for the next 30 years. And unfortunately, it's not there yet. The reform paper and the laws to put it close enough, we can monitor it and any changes when it happens, but they're not there yet.
My final question is the white papers. Do we still have to wait for that to go through Parliament? Or that's not an issue any longer?
Well, they were trying to do it this weekend without it having the rate. We have to wait for it to go through Parliament, be voted on and passed, for all the reforms to be implemented that are in the white paper, and for it to become law. So, for the country itself to change. Do we need it for the rate change? Again, CBI can change the rate for Y without those. But that was the plan over the weekend, so I guess we don't really need it. They say it's agreed upon. Everybody's agreed. Everybody likes where it's going. And they're working on the 21-23 budget already. So it's just formality. But maybe they want to change the rate before they do it so everybody's not anticipating. I can't tell you. They're not giving me all the secrets. Some of the stuff we just have to look at and try and put together.
Okay, that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to the next caller. Thank you both, and I guess we're waiting for Friday now to see what happens between now and Friday. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 512, area code, you are on.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Hey, fantabulous.
Super fantastic.
Degree.
How are you?
I'm good. My question is, did any of your contacts comment on the announcement Trump made about not releasing any more stimulus packages until after the election as being a clue that the RV won't be released either until then?
No. Nobody said anything. Nobody's even connected the two together.
And I had a question about those sweep accounts. What makes those rates fluctuate? Is it the market itself or is it money amount?
Oh, no, that's just the market like every other thing. With those interest rates, that's what's going on with the market at the time.
Oh, okay. Well, those were my two questions for today. I appreciate it.
Okay,
All right,
thank
you.
610, area code. G-Man, you're on.
Hey, good afternoon, Ray. Hey, good morning, Tony. It is G-Man in PA.